Hi, this is Zak Mir with the US Chartbreakers here at Zak's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 31st of July. Starting off with the S&P, and here you can see that holding our breath, I suppose, to see whether this market will maintain that uptrend line from April. That's around 63.10. And next support down would actually be the old initial July resistance, 62.85. So ideally, we stay above that to keep the idea of a move up to the top of that channel from as soon as the end of next month at 6600. On the downside, obviously, the 6200 area was July support, and maybe that will also come in going forward for August. On to the Nasdaq, and here the picture is the market, which is probably a little bit sort of outperforming the S&P at the moment, still within that rising trend channel from April. Top of the channel, they're heading for around 24,200, which we're looking for by the end of next month, while we remain above the recent support area in the floor of the channel around the 22,900 zone. Moving on to the stocks, and they're rather more dynamic in this case. Starting off with the situation at BioNexus, and here the very volatile, has to be said, but basically we've had a gap down that we had at the beginning of the month, and then gap higher. What's interesting here is actually where the shares closed yesterday, above neckline resistance around the $7 mark, in fact 705. Above that, on an end of day close basis, we are looking for the shares to at least get up to the recent, the July peaks, or at least the closing peaks, around $10 plus. Next up is a situation which is perhaps not quite as volatile as the first stock here. It's a falling trend channel, and we're bouncing off the floor of that at Bellhaven, or Biohaven rather. Here it's a bear trap gap reversal. We've already broken through a rising 50-day moving average there at $14.78 and above that. Looking at the top of the channel and the upper end of the recent range towards $21, hoping for that by the end of August. Interesting setup at the next stock, which is FTAI, and here we've already basically touched the top of that rising trend channel. Initial target there around $147, the peak $146.50, end of day close above $147, with the potential for a new leg to the upside as high as $190 by the end of next month. And we'd like to see the shares remain above the old June resistance around $136 on an end of day close basis. Moving along to global industrial, and here second gap higher in the recent past. What's interesting here is we filled the gap, top of the gap there from back in October. That was around the $32 level, and above that, we're looking for the top of the rising trend channel from back at the end of last year, as high as 45 or even $46 as soon as the end of next month. Look, moving along the list, and here we have stock which hopefully will join the one of the better situations in terms of recovery. We've got iSpecimen, and here broken recent resistance just around the $124 mark. Above that, looking for as high as $180 maybe by the end of September, giving the shares a bit of time to get their act together. Lending Club is next, and here we've had a big gap to the upside. We've had various gaps on this chart in the recent past, especially the one down in January, but we filled that, and what we're looking for now is an end of day close of the gap, say we call it the $16 level, to then take us up to the top of the rising trend channel from February up towards $19 by the end of next month. On the downside, the obvious support area would be $13.60. So if there is a full pullback, that would hopefully be a potential entry point. But what's interesting here is that the 50 and 200 day lines are both rising, so we are, at least in theory, going into a golden cross. Very pleased with the next one, Safe and Green, because it's done exactly what we wanted it to do. Covered it, I think we covered it yesterday, up 53%. And the top of the channel there, $196. Above that, we are looking for a fresh leg to the upside, which would be the upper parallel of that rising trend channel as high as $350, which I suppose, being realistic, one would be looking for by the end of September, not the end of August. Ideally, in the meantime, we stay above that 200-day line there, around the $166 level. Another stock which has delivered the goods in the recent past has been SDM, otherwise known as Smart Digital. It's a sort of slow burn to the upside within a rising trend channel from back in April. Top of the channel there up to $42, and we're looking for that by the end of next month, while we remain on the right side of $20, basically the recent support zone for the shares. Another good-looking stock is coming up, and it is SuperX. Here we've blown the lights out in terms of the second target there, which was the upper parallel of that rising trend channel. To be fair, it was probably made a bit too low, so probably we were looking for, or should have been looking for $30, but the high yesterday, 29.64, so not too bad at all. The upper parallel of that line, I suppose, is now the next potential target, and that would be up towards $37. So above the upper parallel line there, 27, look for 37 on SuperX. Next on the list is 707, and here, see, we've got this rising trend channel. We've got a rising 50-day line as well, and rising 200-day moving average. So looking at the top of the range and the top of the channel there, towards the $8 level, and looking for that hopefully by the end of next month. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.